Hi everybody. Let's get going. I know a few more people are joining us, but welcome. Thank you for being here. And my name is Ben Holden. I am a trustee at Libraries Connected, and I am also the project sponsor for this initiative on behalf of the board. And I'm thrilled to be here to kick this off with everyone. And my background includes the film industry and books and publishing and libraries advocacy, but I am an external or independent trustee. I'm not from the sector. And my other expertise or experience includes the charitable sector and charity work and funding. And so I know firsthand what sort of difference these sorts of grants can make to organizations. And although they're billed as microgrants, I think we all know that from these microgrants, big things and big changes can unfold, and from these seeds, amazing things can sprout and shoot off, both within the independent services in terms of your teams and the offerings and services that you have within your organizations, but also cumulatively across the sector and broadly for the betterment of the services that we all collectively provide. So a lot of thought and a lot of work has already gone into this, and I'll say up front, because I may not get the chance at the end, big credit and thanks to the team at Libraries Connected, plus also our partners at Arts Council, who we're thrilled to be working with on this really fantastic raft of opportunity. So without further ado, I'm going to pass over to Sophie. And thanks again for being here. And hopefully, yes, over the course of the next hour, you'll see how much thought has gone into this and how exciting this promises to be as a initiative. Over to you, Sophie. Thanks again.
Thank you. I'm just trying to see, I should have done this before, but how can I share my screen? Ooh.
Emma will enable you. Can you see the share screen at the bottom?
Nope.
It's coming.
You are a co-host, Sophie, so there should be a green share button.
I've got one. Yep, there it is. Sorry. Yep. Right. I'm just can everyone see that okay?
Not yet. I think it's coming now. Yeah, there we go.
Can you see the full screen?
Yes.
Yep.
Excellent. Okay, now I can't see my notes, but anyway, that's fine. So just to say, very much, this is, we're really happy with this proposal that we're working with in terms of working with Libraries Connected. Arts Council as the library development agency really recognise how important microgrants are in comparison to, say, some of our standard funding programs like project grants. So this is a relatively small program in terms of what you're allowed to apply for. And it's very much a collaborative approach between the two of us. And for some reason, it won't let me do my slides. Oh, so what we'll cover today, what, why, and when. Oh, goodness me. Sorry. This is what happens when you do Zoom and you're not used to it. So what it is, it's what it says on the tin. It's small microgrants. It's for public libraries and within the public library sector. So that also includes school library services and prison library services. One of the reasons why we want to do this, it's part of it is like testing, because we know the capacity is quite short in local government, across local government, but also obviously in libraries. And this, we want to be able to increase and build skills and experience in applying for funding, not just for Arts Council funding, but other funding bodies too. We know from our project grants data that we need to increase the number of library applications to some of that has gone down, and for some of that is completely obvious and understandable because there's a capacity issue. But this is trying to build up skills further across the workforce to see if they can add to it. When we're launching it today, so it should be available on the website. We've got the guidance, we've got some early FAQs, but obviously the FAQs will develop over time because like I said, we're trying to test this to see how it works. We know other sectors, primarily the museum development side of things, have budgets like this. It works incredibly well for the museums. Obviously, it's a different sector, but this is we want to see how it works within the library sector, and the evaluation part of this will be really important in order to provide the evidence in terms of the success that it hopefully will bring to public libraries in England. And I'm just going to say if you want any more questions. And now it's disappeared. There it is.
Sophie, can I ask a quick question?
Yes. Yes.
You mentioned it includes school library services and prison library services. Does it also include NHS libraries? So the ones in hospitals?
If they're run by a public library service in terms of the statutory duty, yes, but probably on the whole, no.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you.
Dave.
Hi, Sophie. You said it's to be launched on the website later. You said it's going to be launched on the website later today. Which website?
Oh, sorry, Library Connected website.
Brilliant.
Sorry, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll be able to share details of that after the meeting with the follow-up documents. Right, so I'm going to lead on from that then. So I'll be able to talk about the nitty-gritty. So my name's Tess. I'm a project manager at Libraries Connected. So I have been working on the microgrants project with Sophie. So just want to say a huge thank you to Arts Council for funding this project. We think it's really exciting yeah, it's great to be launching it today. So I thought I'd just talk through the project outcomes to start off with. So we have, as Sophie mentioned, staff, so sort of skill and confidence development, so enhancing library staff skills and confidence in applying for funding, not just ACE funding, but all types of funding. Number 2, initiative advancement, so enabling library services to develop larger initiatives. So yeah, ACE have been really keen to inject funding to support libraries with smaller initiatives and to support development of ideas for further funding bids. Number 3, fair distribution, so ensuring microgrants are fairly distributed geographically and across the universal library offers. So we'll pick that up in the evaluation. And finally, effective grant delivery models. So this is sort of a pilot. We're developing and testing a robust grant delivery model for potential long-term use that libraries find easy to navigate and Libraries Connected can administer efficiently. So just to go through the funding that's available, so libraries can bid for between £1,000 and £5,000. As Sophie mentioned, it's public school library services and prison libraries delivered by the Public Library Service within England are eligible to apply, and we're going to have 3 funding rounds. So just to give you an idea of the timing there, so we're launching the first round today, so there'll be just over £70,000 available each quarter for 3 quarters, and Libraries Connected will track the amount of money the applications are requesting, and applications will close once either a proportion, so 1 1/4 times the funding has been reached or 1 month has passed, so whichever happens first. Should there be any funding remaining, this will be rolled over to the subsequent funding round. But I mean, as I say, this is an ongoing programme. So although the application window will close once certain parameters have been reached, applicants may submit a proposal for the next round. So you can see the dates there. The applications will be managed through an online grant making software, which we have managed to procure, which is Apply by SurveyMonkey. This is, you know, a really intuitive online application process. So we've tried to make it as light touch as possible, this application process. So we're asking libraries to evidence the need, how the initiative will meet that need, and how they will demonstrate that the need has been met. So just to give a quick overview of the governance arrangements for the project, who the reviewers will be, there is a microgrants project board. So their role is to provide strategic direction, governance, oversight, and accountability for the project. And then we have a review panel, which disperses the funding and is governed by that microgrants project board. So we also have an additional, created a category of reviewer. So these reviewers will be invited to review proposals, however, they're not members of the review panel. So we will manage conflicts of interest by asking review panel members and reviewers to declare any conflicts of interest, and this will be monitored also by the Libraries Connected team. The grant software can support with this to a certain degree. There will be a number of different reviewer types. So we'll be looking for each application to be reviewed by a minimum of reviewer types. So an ACE representative, Libraries Connected representative, and another X number of additional reviewers from the review panel. I've just realized I'm sharing the wrong slides. I'm just going to make sure that I've got the correct ones up here. Happy. Okay. The assessment criteria. So these will link really closely to the questions in the application form on the grant making software. The review panel will be assessing proposals on their ability to evidence the need. This, you know, for instance, is this a stepping stone for a larger project or funding bid? Has this been identified through working with communities in that co-production side of things? To demonstrate that the proposed activity meets the need and what you plan to do to meet that need, alignment with one or more universal library offer, and the impact of the project on library users, staff, and the broader community. So expected numbers of people reached, the target audience, a scoping report completed, for instance, or enabled a subsequent bid to be submitted. We also will be looking at whether libraries have considered legacy and sustainability. So, for example, leading to a larger initiative, scalable national initiatives, or continuing with alternative funding. So just thinking back to that outcome of skill and confidence development, review panel members will be asked to provide feedback and ideas to enhance the proposals based on their knowledge and experience. So unsuccessful applicants would receive detailed comments and suggestions for improvement, highlighting areas where the proposal could be strengthened. So the aim of this constructive feedback is to assist applicants in refining their ideas and increasing their chances of success in future grant application rounds or alternative funding bids. So you will find out if you've been successful via email after the review panel meetings. So these are the dates for the review panel meetings. So the reviewing will happen once the applications have been submitted, which we've reached those parameters. Then the review will happen and there will be a review panel meeting. So if successful, the applicant will receive a funding award letter with supporting terms and conditions, which will need to be signed and returned to Libraries Connected. And after that, funding will be transferred within sort of 30 days of acceptance of the claim forms. We do recommend investigating local arrangements around acceptance of funding. So sometimes this can slow down projects. This was something we learned in the Know Your Neighbourhood project. So it's best to be sort of ahead of the game and understand what information might be required, local governance arrangements or approvals for accepting funding. I mentioned outcome 3, fair distribution, so ensuring that the microgrants are fairly distributed. So after the first round, we'll analyse the responses to understand areas that have not applied and target communications in those areas, as well as offering support. So yeah, we are aiming to make it simple enough for people who are not experienced in bidding for funding to give it a go. In terms of evaluation, we have put together an evaluation plan. It's a combination of qualitative and quantitative methods to evaluate alignment with those 4 project outcomes. We have webinar surveys to kind of pick up on the confidence in writing funding applications, whether that changes over time, whether people have pursued alternative funding sources, and requesting feedback on the application and grant making process in a continuous improvement mindset. For the baseline survey, we plan to send that to all applicants, whether they're successful and unsuccessful following the application, but before the decision notification, to gather initial data on experience and confidence in writing funding applications. And then a follow-up survey 6 months after project completion to evaluate outcomes such as additional funding obtained, success rates, confidence improvements, and any longer-term impacts. So we do expect the initiatives to last around 6 months. That's why we've kind of put that 6 months after project completion. That would be 6 months after the funding has been agreed. So we would ask that on project completion, grant recipients submit a 250-word narrative reflecting on achievement of intended outcomes, unexpected benefits, any challenges that have been faced, and next steps. And finally, case studies. So selection and documentation of case studies showcasing a variety of initiatives. So as you know, Libraries Connected like to support sharing of best practice. So you may be asked to kind of share information at one of those webinars that we're planning to hold. So in that vein, we will share the link to today's webinar survey in the chat, and we really appreciate your feedback. As Sophie mentioned, that this learning is really important and kind of feeds into the longevity of the initiative and microgrants process. So I'd really appreciate if you could just take a few minutes to complete that and allow us to demonstrate the impact of the project. So just to finish, I wanted to refer back to the first outcome around enhancing library skills, library staff skills and confidence in applying for funding. Sorry to repeat myself, but we have tried to design the process to be simple and accessible, and would encourage library services and branch libraries, staff at all levels to give it a go. We're available to provide support at Libraries Connected, and there will be feedback and guidance for unsuccessful libraries on how to strengthen proposals. So just see it as like a learning opportunity. So any heads of service, feel free to share with your teams. Branch libraries are welcome to apply, and the application process will ask for just one thing. Yeah, the application process will ask for staff to ensure that their head of service is aware of their application, as only one application per service per funding round can be accepted, and it will be the first one that is considered. So there is a question at the end of the application that asks that. So yeah, there's my email address. If you have any questions, would like any clarification, do feel free to get in touch. I'll stop sharing now.
There is a question from Leslie Tess.
Hold on, I'll get back to where I was. I'm back. Leslie, go ahead.
Hi, Tess. Is there any need for match funding on this?
No, there is no need, but if you wanted to use funding from alternative sources, you could include that, just put that into the application as well.
Okay, thank you.
Jasmine.
Hi, I've actually got two questions. I was wondering, number one, can you apply for these grants if you currently have a larger application in consideration from the Arts Council?
Sophie, are you able to help with that one?
Can you just say that again? Sorry.
So if you currently have a larger grant application in consideration with the Arts Council, are you eligible to apply for
Yes.
these as well? Okay, cool. Because I submitted one last Thursday. So, and the other question was just how does it work if your library service is partly entirely under the council and partly a community run? One, can the community libraries apply for grants?
Do you want me to answer that, Tess?
Yes, that'd be great if you know the answer.
Yes, if the CMLs are part of the statutory duty, they'll be you automatically included in the. You can automatically include them in the application. If they're not part of the statutory duty, then no, you can come into project grants for that.
Okay, thank you.
Will.
Hi there, it's just a quick question. I think someone was asked it in the chat as well. The limit of applications of one per authority, does that entirely, or does that say you could have one per public library, per prison library, per school library from the same authority? Or is it just one and that's your lot per round?
We had assumed it was one per library service per round.
Okay, thank you.
Gillian?
Following on from that, if you're a shared service and you were going to do a shared application across two authorities, could you then have two applications if one's leading on one and one's leading on the other? Or is it?
Is it a formal agreement?
Yeah.
Is it a formal agreement that recognises the statutory duty is separate altogether?
They're separate, but then just certain elements of the service are by one.
It's more of an operational rather than I'm gonna go out on a limb and say it's fine for two.
Okay, thank you.
May I just also just say, and I forgot to say this when I was talking, was that this is new to Arts Council, our team, and this is new to Libraries Connected. So this is a learning curve for everybody involved. So
Sandra.
Sorry, it's different to libraries, the one we usually use. What I had a question for, you were a little bit quick and I've never done this before. And of course was trying to make notes. Will you give us the slides?
Yeah, we'll share
I was
everything.
interested in the assessment criteria slide and I kind of got halfway through and missed the ending bit.
Of course, we'll share that afterwards, and there will be guidance, as we say, on the website too.
Thank you.
Leslie.
Sorry, I'm a pain. I'm hogging the light. If you're NPO funded, can you still apply for this?
You can still apply. It needs to be something separate from the NPO bid. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Welcome. Okay, feel free to keep putting questions in the chat or to get in touch with me directly. Very happy to help. So we thought next up that it might be a nice idea to demonstrate some examples of projects that have received funding through the similar Yorkshire and Humber Microgrants initiative that took place a few years ago and have had a lasting impact, so that those projects are still underway. So first of all, we have Claire Pickering from Wakefield, who's going to be talking about her project Unhampered Reads.
Thank you. I'll just share screen. Bear with 1 moment. There we go. So, hello, I'm Claire Pickering. I'm a library manager at Wakefield Council. And back in 2018, which was when Libraries Connected Yorkshire Humber was running a similar microgrant scheme, I applied to both Libraries Connected and to Carnegie Library Lab slightly later to develop my project, which was called Unhampered Reads. So my project came as a response to the Reading Friends scheme to bring books and social opportunities into reminiscence work. It's a mashup between a reader group and reminiscence kit, sort of a picnic, a themed adult story sack, if you will. It's more than a reader group, but less than it's less than a reminiscence. It's a hybrid of the both. So the project has 16 themed collections, and they're packed in traditional wicker picnic baskets. The contents were developed in consultation with libraries and creative practitioners. It's not a new concept having a reader group. It's not a new concept having a reminiscence box, but the combination of materials packaged in this way is new. So the pop-up reader group style delivery, it drives forward the traditional reader group model and allows people to be inspired and experience culture and discussion in a group setting without having read a book or necessarily having any background to prepare for. So, I mean, by giving people the opportunity to relate to these, here's some examples now. We improved both the situation of people who were recipients of the baskets being delivered, but also we improved library staff and community partner well-being as well and confidence. So the part of the funding was used to deliver a course, which was a level 2 open awards course, which we shared with our colleagues in neighbouring authority Kirklees, who were doing a similar project at the same time, and also with partners in the health service, etc. Formal training is not required to deliver any of this, but it did help upskill people and give them confidence. So the early indications and the continuing indications is that it's had a really positive impact. Here's my colleague Jonathan showcasing it at an event. It's now part of our library collections and it's championed by our health offer lead, and they're freely available on the public library catalogue. They came into their own during COVID, and when a lot of care homes were locked down, they were almost all out. Where people needed to do social interaction, but were perhaps limited in the things they could do. It really achieved its goal of allowing people to borrow more than just a set of reader groups or more than just a reminiscence box. It's now a hybrid which can be used in multiple settings to ensure nobody's excluded from that benefit of that group feeling when you discuss a book or a topic. I'm really grateful to all the partners who helped me, especially Libraries Connected, also Carnegie UK, our partners at Kirklees Libraries, my colleagues at the council, and Reading Agency who kindly mentored me. And I'm really pleased to been able to have the funding, and it really enabled the project to go through its R&D phase and be something that was a success in the end. So if you've got any questions or comments, you can get in touch, and there's a website which has all the Unhampered Reads stock on that you can take a look at. So I'm happy to answer any questions, and thank you for listening.
That's brilliant. Thanks, Claire. It's just so wonderful how to demonstrate that impact and how it's kind of continued on post the funding. So we have another example of a project, our very own Nick Partridge, to talk about the home of walking in Sheffield.
It's the home of football, actually,
Home of
Tess.
walking. Football. Got it.
Those of you who know me know that I was the head of Sheffield Libraries for many years. And as part of that, I was fortunate to go and visit Chapeltown Library, where we had an author talk, because I thought I'd better get out there and see what people are doing. And there was a gentleman, a historian, talking about the historical facts of Sheffield's creation of the most beautiful game in the world, football. But I'm sorry if that offends other people, but it really is a tremendous story, which I was totally unaware of. And he decided to educate me in the why, as head of libraries and archives at that point, I should embrace this history and champion it, because not many people know about this particular history. There are 40 footballing firsts that happened in Sheffield. So we were then given the challenge by this author to say, okay, well, how are you going to do something about this? And at the same time, being part of the Yorkshire and Humber Libraries Connected group, I'd heard from them that they were offering these innovation grants, I think we called them at the time. And the idea was exactly as you've heard, microgrants 1 to 5,000, something like that, to put forward. So we didn't have the resources to actually put it in the content of a walking app. We were thinking about a walking app when we were thinking about bomb sites of Sheffield, which is interesting, but maybe not the thing that you would choose to create. So I said, well, okay, we've got this opportunity now with a local digital firm, Llama Digital, who create geotagging sort of walks around museums and things like that, to link them with the content that this author and historian could provide. And he brought in a University of Sheffield professor, and they worked diligently to take the content of their books and their histories and put it into a walking app, in a 5-mile walk around Sheffield, visiting the sites of the earliest football team games, Sheffield FC and Healy Parish Church, which was where somebody who co-founded Sheffield FC was interred. And we created this walking app, which we then launched via the library's website. And it got a lot of interest. And I think Coventry, when they were planning City of Culture, they came across and had a look at it and said, how have you got on with doing this? And we had a number of, I think 2,000 downloads in the first year or so, which was deemed at that point to be quite a high number of downloads. It was cited by the DCMS as an example of placemaking. So the library service and the historians together had actually helped Sheffield understand a bit about its hidden history. And it started to create a momentum and a movement about Sheffield Home of Football, and it's now moved into a charity, and we're now creating blue plaques and things like that, which will then be part of the walking app, so that people can actually see these particular buildings where the first rules were written down and things like that. So the microgrants gave us that opportunity of joining the content with the historians, with the technology, which was a local firm, and it cost a little bit more than the 5K, but we put a bit into that, our staff time and promotion and website, and it's now on Welcome to Sheffield websites, as well as our own sheffieldhomeoffootball.org.uk if you want to have a look. And it was deemed, a reasonable success in terms of the number of downloads. And Yorkshire and Humber were also doing a series of staff conferences, which were held every year in Leeds. I think Claire and myself were asked to go along and just talk about this, as we are doing here on a webinar, but to then show staff members that with a bit of money, you can actually take that thing that you've really wanted to do, with hopefully the support of your local management, put the content together with the idea, bring it into fruition. And they are, a really great opportunity to encourage staff and managers to actually get behind some of the content that they really want to get out there to people, to show and demonstrate what libraries can do. So I haven't got anything to share. I just thought I'd just tell you a little bit about it, and if you want to go and have a look at it, yeah, as I say, it's developing, and we're still including new information. And that was the other thing, it actually generated people going out and finding out and submitting their information about the history of Sheffield and football. So it then garnered new interest and found new information, which we could then share. So it was a virtuous circle of engagement and activity, which is ongoing today. So yeah, we were really pleased, and thank you, Yorkshire and Humber Libraries Connected. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nick. You've actually raised that something that I didn't touch on, which is that in-kind support. So as part of the evaluation for this project, for those successful libraries, we will be asking to hear about that in-kind support. You know, if you're open later, who needed to stay later, and you know, to make sure that we get the full kind of idea of how much that project cost. So thank you so much, Nick. We're going to now hear from Dr. Nicola Curry, who was a research fellow on the Leverhulme Trust Reading and Wellbeing project. She's going to be talking about how you can use research to strengthen bid writing. This might be using research to support a microgrants bid, or applying for microgrants funding to capture, to complete research for a larger funding bid. So I'm going to hand over to Nicola now.
Thank you, Tess. I'll just share my screen. Okay. Okay, can you see those slides okay from there?
We can, yeah.
Okay, super, thank you. So thank you for the opportunity to come along and talk to you today. As Tess mentioned, I've been conducting a research placement with Libraries Connected over the past few months. And we've just noticed throughout the placement different ways that maybe research can be used to support the work that you do in library settings. And so I just thought I'd share some of those insights with you today, with a couple of examples from our own projects, in case there's links there. So to begin with, how could research support your project and the development of your bid? So as part of the work that we do at the University of Edinburgh, that we've been doing on the projects we've been working on, we produce qualitative and quantitative research papers. And you can potentially use this qualitative and quantitative data to support the development of the rationale for your project, perhaps. But also it could be used further down the line, for, you know, beyond the actual initial project that you've developed, for developing an idea further. You may find within some of the academic papers, we tend to separate them into sort of different sections, and we generally have an introduction section at the beginning of papers that will include lots of other relevant research. So if you are able to access relevant papers or relevant research, it's definitely worth having a look through that initial introduction section to see whether there are things that link in with the work that you're doing, with the projects that you're developing, to see whether it can signpost to other aspects of research that have been done before that could again be used to support your bid and to support your applications. The other thing that might be useful in terms of a research perspective is there may have been work that's been conducted in a similar area before, and you may be able to use or adapt research-informed resources that have been developed as part of their projects and build upon them, or take part of them or utilise them in the projects that you're planning to do. And again, this might just help to strengthen your bid because it's using something that's already been tried and tested already. You may also be able to apply some of the findings. So generally in academic papers, if you scroll to the end of the academic paper in the discussion section, we'll often talk about the implications of the findings or how they might be able to be used more practically. And you might be able to take some of those findings again, build them into your project or use them to support a project that you want to conduct yourself. You may also find that there are projects currently ongoing that are very linked to the type of work that you'd like to do. And again, in the future or further down the line, there might be opportunities for collaboration. So do feel free to get in touch. And we're always keen to work with yourselves to work in a collaborative nature. So I just wanted to provide a couple of more concrete examples of this and how research might be used to support your projects. So as part of the work I've been doing on the placement, I've been sharing findings from a project looking at the relationship between reading and wellbeing. And this project is looking at reader perspectives on how fiction reading supports wellbeing. We've worked with children, young people, adults and older adults. And as part of this project, we developed qualitative research papers, and they're demonstrating the really rich and diverse ways that fiction reading can support different aspects of wellbeing. So positive emotions, connection through the book, but also connection with others and personal growth. So learning about yourself and about others, about the wider world through your reading. So if those types of things link in, or if there's different aspects of wellbeing that might link in with any of these papers, please feel free to get in touch. The papers obviously go into much more detail than I'm doing today. I've just popped a couple of quotes on the right-hand side of the screen there to demonstrate some of the types of things that our readers were saying. So the first quote, for example, a young boy talking about the sort of really enjoying that shared reading. A second one from one of our young people talking about empathy and how they sort of developed empathy, and that's helped them to support them in their interpersonal skills and supporting other people in their lives through their reading. And then the third one from one of our older adults talking about reading being a source of memories, a source of help, and a source of belonging. And there are many, many different aspects that are covered within the interviews. And the papers perhaps might link in or support the work that you'd like to do in your projects. We've also developed some summary resources, some one-page resources, and I've put a link to the website there that's got an example of a reflective reading guide for adults, which again might just be useful. You could always take parts of it or utilise it if it's useful to you as well. So please feel free to get in touch if you'd like any more information about any of the reading and wellbeing work that we've been doing this project. The second one is Love to Read Libraries. So as part of this project, my colleague Sarah McGowan has been leading on this at the University of Edinburgh, and she's developed resources for community librarians that will help to support children's reading enjoyment and engagement. And again, this is research informed from Sarah's work that she's been doing over several years, looking at supporting reading for pleasure in children of primary school age. But these resources have been specifically co-created with library professionals and organisations, and there's lots of different resources on there. I've just put a couple on the screen there to give you an example. So one of them, for example, is looking at how you can support children to choose a book and work through a series of activities you can do with them. Others talk about sort of trying to encourage children to share their thoughts and ideas about reading and about books. But there's an awful lot of resources on there to have a look through. And so again, if they might be useful to build into your project grant, and to say that you're using some research informed resources as well, again, please take a look at that or get in touch if you like any further information. So yeah, just to say thank you very much for having me along today. If we can support your work in any way, please feel free to get in touch with us, myself, for the Reading Wellbeing Project. I've put my email address there and a link to the website. And then also, if you love to read libraries, you can contact Sarah, and there's again a link to some more information there. And then there's various other literacy projects also going on at the University of Edinburgh, so please feel free to have a look at those as well in case they can support the work that you plan to do. Thank you very much, and I'll stop sharing my screen now.
Thanks, Nicola. Yeah, Nicola and I have had lots of conversations, and we're always coming up with new ideas of projects that can happen. So I definitely recommend getting in touch with Nicola if you would like any ideas. So yes, that's the end of our speakers today. I can see there's lots of questions going on in the chat, so we'll pull them out for FAQs. Were there any other questions that people might like to ask? If not, feel free to get in touch with me. We'll do a follow-up email after this. We can share the recordings so that you can share them with your colleagues. We will be able to share the website with the guidance and the FAQs. And just a reminder about that baseline survey again, evaluation. So we'll share that again on here and in the follow-up email. And yeah, all the slides will be shared after the meeting. Sophie, did you have any final words?
We look forward to receiving your applications.
Yeah, we're excited to read them. So thank you very much. Thanks for joining us today. Yeah, if you have any questions, just give me a shout. Take care. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.